I'm Laura Murray, and I am so excited because I get to interview Hannah Matthews, who is a fine line tattoo artist. And I know this is a podcast, so unless you're watching clips, you don't get to see all of her really cool tattoos. But I am here to say that this woman is skilled. She is amazing. Hannah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course. All right, Hannah. So very first question, how did you first become interested in tattooing? And what inspired you to even pursue it as a career?
I have always just been so fascinated by tattoos. I think growing up in Utah, where it was like tattoos are a big no and a big like, you can't have them or you're a bad person. I felt like I was even more like attracted to them almost. Like, oh, it's this bad thing, but I think it's really cool. And I feel like it's really just such an interesting art form, art medium. So yeah, I had always been really intrigued by them. I grew up in a really artsy family. So I just, found them really interesting. I have 2 kids. And so after I had my second, I kind of was just like, I need something for myself to do.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah. I mean, again, growing up in Utah, I grew up Mormon, and like your whole identity really as a female in the church is like you're going to grow up and be a mom, and like that's your end all be all. And so I became that, and then I was like, well, I want something else for me too. Like
you want your own identity. You want something for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So after I had my second baby, I had been getting, because you can't get tattoos when you're pregnant, and so I had been like stockpiling a bunch of like ideas that I wanted. I was
just
like,
saving all these pictures on your phone for the day.
Right. So I went and got some tattoos after I had my second, and I just started chatting to the girls that I was getting tattooed by, and I just really felt so like called to it, and just like this like burning whatever passion to be like part of the tattoo community. I just felt so strongly about it, and knew I'd always wanted to do something that was like art-based, creative-based, clientele-based. Just didn't really know what. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind that I wanted something for myself, and then it kind of just all fell into place, and I just went for it on a whim. My husband was like, you think people are going to want you to tattoo them? And I was like, I don't know, maybe.
You're like, yes, I do, actually. And it turns out a lot of people do.
Yeah. So it's been good. It was a kind of a crazy leap of just, I'm going to go for it. And I'm not someone to do something like that. And so it almost just felt so right that I just was like, all in, let's go. I'm doing this. I'm going to work my butt off and make it be my thing. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that you just went for it. Like you felt it in your gut. And I feel like that's so inspirational to a lot of people about anything. Like if you feel something in your gut that you want to do, why not just do it?
Yeah. And it's been like my life has changed exponentially, like mostly for good. There's been some like learning curves and stuff, obviously. But man, I like every single day am just like pinching myself or like kicking myself. I'm like, am I dreaming? Like, I'm just so grateful that I, decided to listen to my gut and just went for it, because I am so grateful to be where I'm at and been able to like experience the things that I've gotten to. And I wouldn't have this life that I have without it. So
it's love been great. That. So what drew you to the art of fine line tattoos specifically? Because there are tattoo artists out there that specialize in different things, and you are like the queen of fine line tattoos. So what drew you to that?
I think it's just the kind of tattoos that I want to get. So it's something that I want to offer. When I was getting my first couple of tattoos, like 8-9 years ago, fine line wasn't really a thing. And so I went in, I would see cute little like dainty minimal tattoos on Pinterest, and then you take it into like a traditional tattoo shop, and then they say, well, I can't go that small, or it's going to be 7 inches instead of like a little inch word or whatever.
And you were like, well, I didn't want 7 inches cool. Yeah. of a tattoo. I just wanted this tiny centimeter. Thank you so much.
So not being able to like have the fine line accessible here was kind of not frustrating, but it's like, I want these cute little dainty things. But it was really only like New York and LA that were doing like the minimal dainty, fine-lined, feminine pieces of art. And so it's just something, the kind of style that I want on my body. So I'm so glad that I get to offer that to people, especially here in Utah with like, they're getting their first tattoo. They're getting something that's really sentimental. They're getting, they're just starting small. And so that minimal fine line style is really appealing to them. So it's cool that I get to offer that to them.
I love it because it's my favorite style of tattoo.
Yeah.
The minute you came in, I was like, I like that one and that one and that one and that one. Did you have to do any training for this, or did you do an apprenticeship? Well, how did that all work out?
So I'm like mostly self-taught. I did have a little bit of like guidance, just to kind of show me like the beginning ropes, like the bare minimum, like here's a machine, here's how you put the needle cartridge in, here's how to apply a stencil, like the very basics. And then after that, I just have been kind of self-taught, watching other artists on YouTube, going and getting tattooed, asking questions.
Yeah.
Normally you would do an apprenticeship route, and that's kind of the most, it's not the right way, but it's like the most healthy and ethical way to start tattooing. So mostly just self-taught.
Yeah. Okay. So you just had an idea. You had this dream. You went for it and taught yourself. Your story is so cool.
Oh,
so I imagine that you have, a lot of different clients coming to you. I imagine a lot of them know exactly what they want. I imagine some of them don't know. So what does a consultation with you kind of look like?
So I don't do any like in-person consultations. I kind of just do my bookings in rounds. So every couple months I'll have like a form for my clients to fill out. They just go on and put like what they want, where they want it. And then I will draw everything up for them. I do a lot of like my own like flash designs. So I'll just draw up a certain amount of designs, post them. And if someone wants that design, they can just come in and get it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen that done. Okay.
Yeah. So I do a mix of like flash and then customs. But yeah, mostly people are just like putting in for what they want, and they kind of go based off of stuff I'm posting on my socials, just to, I have a very specific like set style and things I'm interested in doing. And so if it's something that's not really in that style or in that kind of what I like to do, then I usually don't accept it. I'll kind of tell them like, hey, thank you so much for being interested in my work. This isn't really something that's in my style or wheelhouse, or I don't feel comfortable doing this sort of piece. So yeah, it's kind of mostly just all via email.
And I think that's really great of you to be like, you know what, if you want a piece that's done really well, this really isn't my style.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely awesome. Well, what would you say to someone, they're getting their first tattoo and they're nervous, uncertain? I'm sure you deal with this a lot. What do you tell these people?
I think the biggest thing is just to be an advocate for yourself. Like, I remember getting my first tattoo. Again, I went to a traditional shop where I wanted something so minimal and so dainty and feminine, and it was like he had just written it in his own handwriting, and it was like the whole length of my bicep versus like 2 inches. And I was just like, yeah, sure, okay.
And you said yes?
Oh, yeah. Girl, it's on here. It's not a bad tattoo by any means, but it just was not what I wanted. Yeah. But it's so intimidating, and it's so scary. And just to be like, well, I'm already here. Like, I don't want to waste your time. But, like, if I could give one piece of advice to someone getting their first tattoo, is just to be your own advocate. Like, stand up for yourself. Yeah. As, like, from a tattoo artist perspective, when my client comes in, it's like, I don't really like this flower. Like, can we take it out? Can we? And they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, girl, this is going on you forever. Like, don't apologize. Like, I'm not offended.
It's not the time to be a people pleaser.
Right. Like, this is going on you forever. So let's get it how you want it. Let's sit and rearrange. I give plenty of time in my appointments to do that. So we'll go through font options. We'll go through whatever, but just speak up for yourself. Like, as the artist, I don't know if you're really telling me that you like it, or if you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to tell her I like it so I don't offend her. I don't want you to leave and go sit in your car and be like, shiz, man, I should have freaking said something. But, like, it's already on there, So.
Well, and I imagine as the artist, you would rather have someone be honest with you than leave being, thinking to themselves, I hate this so much.
Yeah, and that's my name on it. So then when they go tell their sisters and their friends, they're like, oh, I hate this tattoo. Like, well, is it because you didn't stand up for yourself, or is it because of the artist, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like my name on it. Like, I want you to love it. I want you to be happy, and I want you to be pleased with it. So yeah, I think just being honest and standing up for yourself is like the biggest thing.
I love that. And I kind of want to go back to something that you talked about at the beginning. How do you navigate being a tattoo artist in Utah, where, I mean, I feel like, and you chime in here, obviously, tattoos are, becoming more and more accepted. Mm-hmm. But what did it feel like when you first started tattooing in Utah? Because not a lot of people have them.
Yeah.
But how did you kind of like get into that field? How have you seen it change?
I honestly feel like I feel so lucky to be a tattoo artist here. I know that it's very like kind of like an oxymoron, like there's not a lot of, it's like not wildly accepted, but then there's such a big tattoo community here. Mm-hmm. But I feel really lucky because I get to like bond with these people who are either just like refinding themselves after leaving the church or are still part of the church and just want to feel like they are taking ownership like back over themselves, or exploring different options, or I don't know. It's like, it's a really empowering thing to be able to kind of have that exchange of energy with someone who's like just getting their power back. And I think it's really cool. I definitely felt like there was going to be a little bit, I was like, is this going to be hard to even find clients? But honestly, people love their tattoos. They're getting tatted no matter what. There'll be people that come get tattoo and they're rocking them at sacrament meeting the next Sunday. So it's
well. I was gonna say, I know people from all walks of life, all different religions, all different things, and they all have them. And I just feel like, especially with the dainty fine line art that is coming out, it's becoming more and more popular because it is so dainty and because it's really personal.
Right.
And so I have seen a change. It seems like everyone's getting tattoos now.
Yeah.
I mean, to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like, yeah, with the more like minimal, dainty, fine line, sentimental things, like you're not going to give someone crap about their tattoo that they just got for their grandfather who passed or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like this really cool, like personal thing. You don't need a reason for a tattoo, but like, it's cool to have those like little sentimental things and have it represent part of you and part of your life and part of what you've been through, and kind of wearing it literally on your sleeve. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a really cool way to just express yourself.
I love that. So, I mean, speaking of styles and, ways to express yourself, is there a theme or style that resonates most with your clients in Utah that you do a lot of, or you've kind of noticed a pattern?
I would say, what first comes to mind is I have a lot of moms who are getting tattoos like for their kids, which is really fun. I do a lot of birth flower bouquets. I don't know if you've seen them, but it's fun because you do like each month has like a flower associated with the month. And so it's like, oh, I have a kid born in June and I have a kid born in October. So let's do a little rose and a little cosmo flower and let's put them in a little bouquet, and we can leave room for future children on the bouquet or whatever, So I do a lot of like that, and like kids' names, family names. I do a lot of handwriting. So people bring in like cards of loved ones, or handwriting ones are really special. I've done a few where like it got to me like emotionally, they're telling me about this person that they're representing with this piece, and it's like, it's just so cool. It's just the coolest thing to be able to like offer that to people. So yeah, I feel like I do a lot of like sentimental, like family oriented
tattoos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine so. And I mean, all of those sound so sweet. I remember hearing for the first time, I can't remember, someone mentioned it to me about having a loved one's handwriting. And I thought that was so special, and what a form of, self-expression. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Are there any misconceptions that you've had to deal with as a tattoo artist?
I feel like in the tattoo world, there's a lot of misconceptions with the fine line style specifically, just with it like lasting like longevity wise, and how they're going to hold up, like technicality wise. Fine line, you're putting less ink into the skin. You have to be more delicate when you're actually tattooing it. And so some of the more traditional artists who do like the bigger, bolder, thicker pieces don't really love the fine line style, just because in their minds and in their experience, fine line doesn't last as well as something that's
interesting.
Like thicker. Okay. Yeah, so it's a very technical. Tattooing is a very technical thing.
Well, I can imagine. So, I mean, I've seen TV shows, and obviously that's TV shows, but it looks really technical, and I've seen, different pieces of content on social media, but it seems very technical. And seeing your tattoos and the detail on them for being so fine, I can imagine that A, it takes patience that I don't know if I have, and B, it is very technical.
Yeah. So I would say that's probably the most common misconception is like the fine line industry kind of gets a lot of crap for, oh, well, you're going to give them that tattoo and it's only going to last 5 years. And it's like, no, you're still depositing ink into the skin with a needle. Like it's still going in their skin.
Yeah.
It's just going to be daintier and lighter and cuter. And it's not going to be this thick, heavy freaking thing that's like a black blob in 20 years. So, that's really the only thing I can think of that comes to mind with that.
So what if someone, they're listening to you and they are really resonating with you and they're thinking, oh my gosh, Hannah, you are speaking my language. I've always wanted to be a tattoo artist, but I've been nervous, I've been scared, whatever the reason is. So what would you say to someone who is wanting to take, the jump that you did, but maybe they're a little nervous about it?
I would say, like, obviously it's something new, and so being nervous is completely warranted. Like I feel like you're totally valid in feeling that way. But like getting started, I wouldn't necessarily recommend just like self-teaching. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, and unfortunately with tattooing, those mistakes are permanent on someone else's body. Which we've lost some sleep at night over. So I would definitely recommend like the mentoring route, like finding a mentor, finding someone who you trust and you feel like is in the style that you want to be tattooing in. Finding a mentor that will take you under their wing and be able to teach you the ropes and help you. Yeah, like I said, it's just so technical. It's so much harder than what it looks like. And I don't do a very good job at showing like the not so glamorous sides of tattooing, but it's really freaking hard. And so I would definitely say find a mentor, and it's one of those things, tattooing is one of those things that you got to just be like honest with yourself, honest with your clients on like your skill set, your skill level, what you're comfortable doing. I would say if you're just starting out, start so small and practice. Do not tattoo anyone else until you have tattooed yourself. Like tattoo yourself first. You know how like what it's feeling like, what this skin, like tattooing on a practice skin versus tattooing real skin is just so different. So you can practice as much as you want on a fake piece of skin, but man, tattooing on skin is so different. So yeah, practice, have a mentor show you what you need to be doing, adjusting, and then just hope and pray that you have some good family and friends that will love you no matter what. But yeah, start small. Like don't bite off more than you can chew. Yeah. Like I think one of the things is when I first started, I don't think I took it as seriously as I needed to. It kind of has been like a fad for a minute to just like start tattooing. There's been a lot of like PMU, like permanent makeup artists, that have kind of just like gone into tattooing.
Oh, interesting.
And it's, I don't know, Utah has their way of just, there's always a new thing. There's always a new side hustle. There's always a new way to make easy, fast money. And so, there was a lot of people starting tattooing at the same time. And I just don't feel like it was being taken very seriously. And like, this is something literally permanent on someone's body, like for the rest of their life. Yeah. And, just take it seriously, and it's not like a fun little side fling to do. It's like this is an art form that should be taken very seriously. So,
And
that was kind of a roundabout way.
You've mentioned quite a few times today that it is an art form. Mm-hmm. And if you think about any piece of art, so I mean, I'm not a tattoo artist. Obviously, I have so many questions for you. I clearly need to know all the things. But I grew up dancing, and I took that art form very, very seriously. Mm-hmm. And I knew to get better, I needed to take private lessons. I needed to have a good foundation. I needed to do certain things to make sure I was performing that art form in a way that I was proud of.
Right.
And tattooing is so interesting because your art is going on somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's you taking it seriously and making sure your client is happy with this piece of art. Mm-hmm. So I can imagine it takes a lot of practice, a lot of mentorship. Do you think there are any like skills or qualities that are essential for a tattoo artist to have in order to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, beside the fact to like be an artist first, I think there's plenty of things that go into it. I mean, I wasn't ever someone to just like sit down and draw growing up, and it wasn't like when I was 5 and I was asked in kindergarten what I wanted to be when I grew up. It wasn't like I'm going to be a tattoo artist, but like I think having some sort of art background, some sort of like yearning to create, and like and having that eye to be able to create something that's going to look good together. I feel like you can tell when something is just like not cohesive, or I don't know, I have a lot of clients that that will just like put it into my hands and be like, I just love your style, like you just draw whatever, you put it wherever you think looks good.
Do you like that, or does it stress you out?
It's kind of stressful if I don't if I don't know them. But if I've tattooed them a few times and I kind of know like the vibe that they're going for and stuff, then that's fine. But I would say, definitely some sort of, but like if I didn't have an eye for something and I was just going based off of what other people told me to do, then I wouldn't be able to do those kinds of things. And like people wouldn't be coming to me for my style if I didn't have that already like, that mind that, you know, sees things that way. So definitely some sort of art background. I think just it's like mentally tough is like a skill set. I would say it's so extremely hard. And then holding on to like, okay, well, Sarah just left with this cool piece that I thought was really cool, but did she actually like it? Is she gonna like hate it? Is she gonna go get it removed? Like, is she, you know? So I think just being emotionally and mentally tough and having that like tenacity, and there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that's just like I'm doing so much work at home, like drawing up designs, emailing, social media. There's a lot more than just like actually being in the studio, like needle to skin. Yeah. So
it's an actual, it is a business. And in, you know, this day and age, businesses, especially visual ones, it's so important to do that marketing and to be working on social media.
Yeah.
So I can imagine you spend a lot of time taking pictures and making reels. Am I wrong?
No, you are right. It's a grind. I definitely, like, obviously you don't have to be good at Instagram to tattoo. Like, it's not. But I have found that my business has grown so much from social media. Like, I would be nowhere. I would have no clients if I wasn't like adamant and thorough with my social media. Like,
oh, I'm sure
it's crazy. And I probably have anywhere from like 8 to 10 clients a month that are flying in from out of state. And like they wouldn't know I exist without, you know, Instagram or like just putting myself out there. So while you don't need a social media skill set to physically tattoo, I do think it's a very important thing. And like,
well, you even mentioned before, you said specifically, some people come in with things that they've seen on Pinterest. And that is a social media platform. So that's where people are seeing some of these things. They're seeing it on, you know, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. And that's a big part of your job is marketing for yourself. So it is, I mean, from what I'm gathering from this, being a tattoo artist is not for the faint of heart.
No. You gotta wear a few different hats. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. And I feel like that's like, I mean, when it comes to owning any business, you're wearing a few different hats, but especially when it's one like we talked about that's so visual and so artistic. So do you think there, how important is artistic talent versus technical skill? Or are they both the same? How do you see that?
I would say they're equally as important. I mean, to be able to sit and draw and create original art and original designs for your clients is very important. There's a lot of people who unfortunately just take other people's art and claim it as their own, and that really freaking sucks when it happens to you. But you also have to technically be able to like have a steady hand and be able to like do the actual performance of the tattoo. It's one thing to like be an artist and be able to, put the ideas to paper, but to like be able to do that and then also add in like the technicalities of the actually tattooing. I feel like they go hand in hand, and one is necessary. One doesn't exist, without the other in the industry.
And you also talked about, you said one of the things that you do at home is, besides, emailing and doing on the social media, you are constantly, drawing and creating tattoos. How do you stay inspired as you are, drawing up these different tattoos for people and giving people options? What do you do to help, keep them fresh?
Very good question. I feel like any creative knows that it ebbs and flows. You can have a week where you are like busting out like 30 designs. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel so inspired. I feel so great. I'm on top of the world. I could draw anything. And then like the next week you're like, is anything going on up here? Like, can I get a spark of something? But I feel like I honestly, I find a lot of my inspiration through music. I do a lot of, not a lot, I've done a couple like flash design sets based off of like artists' albums or like certain songs.
Oh, fun.
So it's fun because like people who were maybe of that artist demographic, but not necessarily someone who would come get a tattoo from me, but then they're like, they see the design that resonates with their favorite artist, so then they're coming and getting art. And so it's really fun that way. I've also done a couple, I did a flash sheet based off of a book series. So I think just like going into other creative mediums and just being inspired by what they're doing. I also find a lot of inspiration from like architecture. I think it's, once I became a tattoo artist, I feel like I really started appreciating art in other forms, not necessarily just like a painting on the wall or, another tattoo or whatever, but I've really found joy in being inspired by other forms of art.
I love that. Well, the moment you were talking about music and books, I thought to myself, well, I want to see what those look like. Because I've always had kind of an idea in my mind if I ever got a tattoo. And then some of the things that I've thought about have been inspired by books or songs. And I think that's such a brilliant way to stay inspired because so many people are connected through books and through music and through things like that. Yeah. So I can see why you are very successful.
Yeah, it's really cool. And you have those songs that got you through a hard time or saved you from whatever, a deep dark place, or a song that reminds you of your summer when you were 16. And so it's really fun to just kind of have those nostalgic things or things that mean a lot to you brought to life in art, and something that you again can wear on your sleeve. And it can be a conversation piece. It can be something just for you that you only know the meaning for, and it's like a reminder, to you, to whatever. So yeah, it's really cool. It's a fun kind of connection thing to have between the clients, especially when like I kind of am ashamed to admit this, but I'm a big Morgan Wallen fan, and so I did a big like flash sheet on Morgan Wallen, and so then all my clients that came and were getting those same designs have that same passion for his music, and so it was like we were just vibing, and we were like put some music on, we were listening to him, we were tatting, and it's just cool. It's just really fun to be able to like mix so many different like things that I love together, and then be able to share that joy and that enthusiasm with someone else.
I love that.
Total stranger, but now we're besties.
I bumped into someone. It was a work thing that we were at, and someone was helping us, and I looked down at her wrist, and she had 3 little stars, and I knew immediately that those 3 little stars were
Harry
the top.
Potter?
Yes. And I looked at her, and I was like, you a Harry Potter fan? And she's like, you are too, because only Harry Potter fans know that these 3 stars mean Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. And so we talked for, we talked for a good while, and we got really deep.
Yeah.
Just not the surface Harry Potter stuff. Right. We got really deep about our lives and different things like that. So I can totally see that happening. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've been talking about all the things required to being, a good tattoo artist, different experiences you've had. What do you love the most about it that just makes you keep working every single day, that keeps pushing you? What is it that does that for you?
I honestly, aside from like being able to create, I think it's the people. I think it's the connection that I get to make. I think it's meeting people that I never would have been able, like our paths would have probably never ever crossed otherwise. Mm-hmm. I've met some of like my greatest friends doing this. Like they were a client and now we're like hanging out and we're going and getting drinks, whatever. And so it's the people, it's the connection, it's the exchange of energy. It's they're trusting me and I'm giving them everything I have in this piece of art. And and tattooing is crazy too, because it's like with a painting, you could do it's kind of, I guess it's the same thing as a painter. Like you paint something for someone and then you just ship it off to them and you just never see it again. So sometimes I'm like putting my whole heart into this piece of art and then
and it walks out.
You just sayonara. So yeah, probably the people. It's really fun. It's really cool to be able to connect. And I have had so many cool opportunities that I never would have had I not met some of these people, and it's just opened so many doors for me. And so yeah,
I love that. Is there another, I mean, you talked about the music tattoos, is there a tattoo experience that really sticks out to you, that when you think, you're like, oh my gosh, that experience is why I'm a tattoo artist?
I've had a couple recently that are really cool that relate to music. I just tattooed, last summer I tattooed one of my favorite country artists. He came out to the Country Fan Fest last summer, and I was able to tattoo him.
Oh, exciting. So I thought you were saying you gave someone a tattoo of your favorite country artist, but no, you tattooed your favorite country artist. Okay.
Yeah, so I got to tattoo him and his wife. And then like last month, I got to tattoo another one of my very favorite artists. I went to his concert and tattooed him backstage. And then,
as one does. That's very casual.
Yeah, so and then I was just out in Nashville and got to tattoo. So Beyonce just released an album, a country album.
Yes.
And she featured 4 female black country artists on one of her songs. She did a Blackbird cover, and she featured the 4 females on her song. And they reached out and were like, hey, we all want to get a Blackbird tattoo to commemorate this, like, huge freaking milestone in our career. And I was like, girl, I got you. So I went out there and tattooed little blackbirds on them for it. And then they were, like, at the CMT Awards, like, with their Blackbird tattoos. And I was like,
stop.
Yeah.
My mouth, my jaw like dropped. You're fancy.
I mean, it's like stuff like that. Like I never would have been able to like
meet these people and connect with them.
Like they wouldn't just call me to just be like, hey, come hang out with me.
All of these country artists, all of these stars.
So it's been really cool. I feel really lucky and blessed that like something so like special and personal to me has like opened all these cool doors.
So
and obviously like the tattooing the famous people and the people that I really look up to and have listened to for years is cool, but like even tattooing like the stranger who comes in, that drove 3 hours in the middle of their workday to come get a tattoo by me, it still holds that same kind of like value for me. It's just I just can't believe that people like they come in and like, are you sure you want this for me? Okay.
I'm sure, like, as you said, some of the really popular tattoos in Utah have a lot to do with, being sentimental and family. So I'm sure that you have shared a lot of tears and stories with people you didn't know. Mm-hmm. And then you left and, you just had this really special moment with someone that you would maybe have never otherwise met.
Right. And it's kind of one of those things that, when you like sit down and you like your hairstylist knows you better than a lot of other people know you, but you're only talking to her once every 6 weeks, you know?
My hairstylist knows all the things about me.
It's the same kind of thing. People sit in my chair and they luckily they feel comfortable enough to, share some of these experiences with me, and I get to like bond with them over that and like put that energy into their piece. So I feel really blessed and lucky to be a part of those things for them. So
I love that. So let's look back to when you were first starting as a tattoo artist. What is something you wish you knew when you were first starting?
I don't know. I would say that I wish I knew how hard it was going to be, but I feel like if I knew how hard it was going to be, I probably would have been too scared. I probably would have shied away a little bit. But yeah, maybe just to know, I don't know. Yeah, maybe just to know how hard it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like I never could have imagined. There's so many parts that go into it. And I, unfortunately, am someone who is like all the way in. I'm going to do everything like how I want it done, no matter how many hours, how much sleep I'm going to lose.
Well, that can be a good thing too.
Yeah, but like a little too good. Like I'm like to a fault almost.
A go-getter attitude.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, I mean, that can be fair. I mean, when you started, it's a relief that you knew everything you did, or else maybe you wouldn't have started it. But that's not to deter anyone who is wanting to do this.
Right. Just know that it's gonna be a grind, and it's if you want to have like that success. Like I feel like now I'm 3 years in, so I feel like I can I'm on more of like a cruise control mode. But the first year, man, I was grinding it out. It was rough, but I'm finally getting to like reap the rewards of my planting.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Well, I love that through this entire interview, you have been so honest and so open about how hard it is, because sometimes when we talk about going after our dreams and going after things we want, we focus so hard on the success of it that we don't talk about the hard work. But Hannah is here to say that it does take hard work, but it is worth it.
So worth it. So worth it. I was just telling, my dad's an illustrator. He illustrates like children's books and stuff. And I was just talking to him yesterday at family dinner, how I like over the weekend, it's fun to like have a reset, but by my first day of the week to go back to work, I'm so ready to get after it. It's so exciting and fulfilling to me. And yeah, the hard work, it's worth it. It's hard, but it's so worth it.
It's that quote. What is that quote that they say? Love what you do and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still have to work really hard.
Still hard. Yeah. Still work.
Love that. Well, Hannah, it has been amazing interviewing you today, but there's something we do on our Fresh Off the Set podcast.
Okay.
To wrap it up, we do something called the Fresh Five, where I ask you 5 totally random questions that, it won't, we're done with the tattooing questions. Now we're just asking Hannah questions to get to know you a little bit as we wrap this up. They're easy, so don't worry.
All right.
So let's do the first one. What is your favorite way to spend the weekend?
Ooh, well, as of late, reading. I have got sucked into the ACOTAR series.
Oh, okay. All right. I was wondering if those were going to be the tattoos you were talking about.
I did Fourth Wing already. I did Fourth Wing tattoos.
I just finished the second Fourth Wing.
Okay.
Have you read Throne of Glass?
No.
Okay, I need you to read Throne of Glass.
Wait, did you read ACOTAR?
Yeah, I read all of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I am obsessed.
I literally just finished the second one driving down to my parents' house last night. I was like in the car. Well,
the second one's the best one.
Yeah, my husband's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine.
I have a Valeris sweatshirt that I wear constantly. For those who have not read ACOTAR, like, what is she talking about?
I do a lot of, I haven't got to that part in the series yet, but I do a lot of, like, the mountains with the 3 stars. Tattoos.
Okay, so all of our Sarah J. Maas people out there are seeing
I have some ideas. I've been starting to write down ideas for flash designs for this series just as I go. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well,
currently reading.
We're going to have to, keep in touch when you're done, and then you're going to have to read Throne of Glass because I didn't think I would find a love like ACOTAR, but then I read Throne of Glass.
That's what I've heard.
So I'm going to move on to the next question before we have another podcast based off of ACOTAR. So are you a morning person or a night owl?
I would say night. Yeah. Because I have 2 kids, so as soon as they go to bed is like my time to like do what I need to do.
Yeah.
So
a night owl by default.
Yeah. I have a hard time getting up.
So if you had to eat one type of cuisine the rest of your life, what would it be?
Sushi.
Oh, you answered that one real fast.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
girl,
was like
can
you were
put down some rolls.
I'm here for that. I always don't order enough, or I always order too much.
Oh, yeah.
I have not found the perfect
sweet spot.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually. All right, if you could get on a plane tomorrow and you had, all the money in the world, where would you go?
Ooh, boy. I would say probably like Europe, like coastal, like Italy, somewhere.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah.
Love that. Lake Como is number 1 on my bucket list right now.
Yeah.
So
Or like Ireland. I think Ireland is like one up there, somewhere Europe.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and then do you have any pets?
No, 2 kids is plenty.
So if you don't have any pets, would you choose, and someone's going to take care of it. I know you have kids, so let's act like someone's helping you take care of their pets.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Dogs or cat?
Dogs. I'm not a cat person.
There you go.
Sorry.
Our associate producer is sitting over here like, fine. See, I have 2 dogs, but I'm allergic to cats. So.
See, that's what my mom and sister are allergic to cats. So we were like, I was never around them growing up, like ever. I'm sure if I had like a little kitten, I would love it dearly. Yeah. But I just have never really ever been around them because my family's allergic. So
my dad was allergic to cats, and so I grew up with golden retrievers my whole life. Yeah. And I think they're the greatest things in the world. But there you go. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today.
Thank you.
It has been a blast. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.